Well, May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, a time to focus on the emotional well-being of millions of Americans who deal with stress, anxiety, depression, and of course, trauma.
Yeah, joining us now is Dr. Tim Murphy, a psychologist and former congressman and author of The Christ Cure, to discuss the growing mental health challenges facing Americans and how families can support loved ones who really may be struggling. Dr. Murphy, great to have you with us this morning. So what are the biggest warning signs that families should really look for when a loved one may be struggling emotionally or mentally?
Oh, good morning, Mark and Charlotte. Good to be with you today live. The things that families should look for, such things as a change in behavior, becoming more withdrawn, more isolated. Watch for signs that the child may be sleeping more, change in appetite, but the change in behavior is important. Many times, young kids, when they're being bullied or they're struggling with something, or quite frankly, even online, being too involved with that, can be things that can tip someone off. But then also watch for signs that could also mean the child may be experimenting with drugs. We now know that cannabis has a very strong relationship with bringing on psychosis in teenagers, particularly those who use it more often. And it's not a safe drug at all. And it's not to be used for depression or anxiety or anything like that. It's a dangerous drug for youth and really dramatically affects their brain. But watch for some of those changes.
Yeah, Doctor, I mean, so many times here on this show, we cover the aftermath, and then we talk about how mental health needs to be a greater focus. And you see so many Americans dealing with stress, anxiety. It's higher than ever before. I mean, what practical steps can people take to protect and improve their mental health?
You bring up a great example. And recently you also reported, I believe it was a woman in Omaha who was severely mentally ill and abducting and stabbing a 3-year-old. At that point for adults, it's late. And what happens is courts and others have to pay attention to when someone has severe mental illness, and oftentimes it begins in the teen years and adult years, they need to get treatment. We have to stop being afraid of getting people into treatment. And sometimes that means court-ordered treatment, because those who are severely mentally ill may have a condition called anosognosia. They're not aware of their illness. Parents can certainly encourage and help children get help, but we have to change this idea of court to saying, well, we're going to release you and hope that everything's okay. That's not going to work for some people who have a history of violence and schizophrenia, for example, and start saying you need to get in treatment, and we're going to court order you to do that. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to bring back massive institutions. That doesn't mean we're going to throw people in jail if they don't get treatment. Problem is, when they're in jail, they're not getting treatment, and then they're released and not getting the help they need.
And I know, Dr. Murphy, in your latest book, The Christ Cure, you combine modern psychology with biblical teaching to address trauma, depression, and PTSD. So why do you believe that faith can play such an important role in emotional healing?
It's a huge part of healing. And there's lots of research to show us that those who practice religion regularly do much better, not only in preventing depression and anxiety, but also recovering from depression, anxiety, and trauma. The Bible is filled with great stories of people who have faced tremendous trauma. Job being one of the great ones. Paul, the apostle, faced multiple traumas. And when we look at modern psychology, we find there's lots of reasons that they got better. And a key factor is hope. Another key factor is forgiveness. When dealing with trauma, that's one of the great injuries people have and struggle with. And so this is a book about how to use those tools from the Bible and psychology today to help people heal. All
right. Former Congressman Dr. Tim Murphy, thanks for joining us. Thinking of all those stories we've said, if only someone would have done something sooner. Great information. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.